Hello everyone, Jonah from Britical Saiyans here, and today we are taking a third stab into Goku Black with the variant that I played at the TCG Con. So this is something I've just been saying off camera. Probably going to see a lot of deck profiles on this guy.
Just as he modifies throughout the
as I modify it throughout the years and the sets, and it's just like, oh, you got set 5 and wish, and it's like, I wish for Goku Black to get more cards. Okay, so starting off as always, the leader. So he has the active main once per turn. If you have 2 or more blue energy, choose 1 card in life, place it in the energy area. At the end of the turn, choose 1 from your energy and place it in drop. So with the green cards in here, you have to be a bit careful about that, but perhaps for the first 2 turns you just throw out blue so that you can do that. After which you just get yourself awakening going. So he draws 2 cards when he awakens, and we go into Goku Black, the Bringer of Despair. So he has the permanent of, during your turn, if you have 2 or less life, this card gains 5,000 power and double strike. So obviously that becomes really useful late game. You can just like awaken. I mean, if you really want to, you go to like 3 life, use his ability, then awaken, so you just immediately start with that. I don't personally recommend it. Right, so, and as most leaders, he has the auto when it attacks, draw a card. So we'll go on to the extra cards. So starting off, we have 3 copies of Senzu Bean. So Senzu Bean being a core in the blue, with the active battle ability of choose which one of your cards. It gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then choose 2 of your energy and switch them to active. It does say up to 2, but you know, you usually tend to play it when you can untap 2. So this just comes in handy when we're paying a large amount of energy, or if our opponent's going for an aggro turn. It's like, well, if I go to 15/20 on my leader, it makes it difficult for them. So, a pretty good number. So next we have 4 copies of Whis' Coercion. So blue negate, and like I always say, one of the best in the game at the moment. Just because you tap an energy, counter the attack, so you negate the attack, then choose 1 energy and switch back to active. So
it's like that and Flying Nimbus, like the best negates at the moment.
That and Flying Nimbus, you just, if you're going to play it, you just reveal it because your opponent knows you're just going to untap the same energy you paid for it, unless you need a different energy.
Unless of course you go against an aggro deck that's got loads of 1-drops, in which case you need the full power.
Yep.
So it's one of those, but for us personally, it's the Whis' Coercion's
it's our go-to.
Yeah.
It's like, are we playing blue? Yes. Whis' Coercion.
For us, it's the best one in the game.
Yeah. So next we have 2 copies of Mafuba. So Mafuba is just quite a handy tech card. So it counters the battle card attack. So you negate the attack, place this card on top of the attacking card. And at the end of your opponent's next turn, it goes into your drop. So yeah, as long as it's on top, the card has no abilities, and it can't do anything. So
it's a dead card for a turn.
Yep, and it gets around barrier, technically. This was a controversy I had at the con, just cool, which took like 5 minutes. Because Mafuba goes on top of the card, it's not targeting it, so technically it gets around barrier through that like slight wording. So if you go to Mafuba on, they're like, I've got barrier, Mafuba them. Mafuba them and their card. Put them in a jar. Go wild. Finally, in the extra cards we have 2 copies of Objection. So Objection is the active main, choose up to 1 card from your hand, add to your energy. Only run to 2 because I only ever tend to use the 2. And like, it's good early game, helpful mid game, late game, you just charge that sucker. Like, no other thing to do with it unless you're having to discard for something. So it just helps us get a bit of energy ramp going. which this deck needs. So going into the battle cards, for 1 drop we have 4 copies of Universe 10 Supreme Kai Gawasu. Those 1 drop 5k. Auto, when you play this card, look at the top 3 cards, choose up to 1 god, add to your hand and shuffle the deck. And this is very useful because most of the deck is gods, besides like the extra cards and maybe 1 or 2 battle cards. I think like 1. Yeah. So it just lets us go through our deck very easily, and then afterwards we can just chuck them away for whatever reasons. So going into 2 drops, we have 4 copies of our super combo Boost Attack Piccolo. He's an oldie but a goldie. Like, I did think about running the Kibito Kai one, but it's just, its wording is awkward for me, and I'm just like, no, I just want a simple.
Situational.
Yeah, it's very situational. It's like, no, I just want to like throw this down. Like, no thinking, just like, give me a cut. So, like all super combos, well, like most super combos I should say now, if your leader is blue and your life is at 4 or less, draw a card, gains 10,000 common for the duration of the turn. So, plain and simple, but I love it. So next in 2 drops we have 2 copies of Courageous Heart Yajirobe. So he's a 5k blocker with Revenge. Very useful for just getting rid of something. I'd argue this also gets from barrier because you're not targeting the card. It's just like, it's kind of like Mafuba, it's just that card is immediately affected by it. And it's just a good way to get rid of big guys, or to stop your opponent from like having evolution cards of their swing with it for some reason. So, but no more than 2, don't really need any more than that. So next we have 3 copies of Evil Psyche Zamasu. So this is a 2 green 5k blocker that's indestructible and has barrier. Arguable that doesn't need indestructible barrier, but meh. It does have the permanent of like, you can't be switched back to active and you can only have 1 in your battle area. But we just bring this out as like a low cost Zamasu, we use it as blocker, and then we just send it into one of the Union Patrollers. So that's where he comes in handy. We have 2 copies of Margin Defier West Supreme Kai.
Oh, a lot of 2-offs.
Yeah, there's a lot of 2-offs, but it's also about finding deck space. So, Margin Fire is a very useful card for blue, I would say in general, but you need to hit 2 blue energy to play her out. So, like I said, 2 drop 5k, she has barrier, and the permanent skill of, you can use this card to pay energy costs even when it's in your battle area. So, it taps for a blue energy basically. It comes in handy if you're like going to tap out but you've got a sensory being that you can play. You're just like, okay, well, I'll tap her to play my sensory being, or just use her as one of the costs. Again, no more than 2 just because of deck space, and it just gives us a way of bringing stuff out like turns early. So moving on to the final 2 drop. Oh wait, no, there's more. I have mixed this up somehow. Not me. So I put my 3 drop on top of the 2 drops, and I was like, wait, this isn't right. So anyway, carrying on with 2 drops, we have 3 copies of Unyielding Spirit Trunks. So
it's basically a staple when it's got a blue leader.
Yeah, blue staple again, like Reese's Coercion. So during your turn, when you combo with this card, if your leader is blue, choose one of your energy and switch it to active. So this really comes in handy like at any point in the game. Definitely comes handy if we're playing out one of our big Zamasus that's tapping all our energy. We throw this in, we get at least one thing back. I mean, throw multiple in, we get more, but you know, getting one back is a leeway with blue, because you're just like, okay, I get a blue energy, I play Sense Beam, I've got 2 now, yay. And that's all you really need during your opponent's turn. So, hand card, 3 off just because we need to see it. It's the only other thing I can't search off Gawasu, sadly. So, there we go. And finally in the 2 drops, and I say this at the right time, we have 4 copies of Warrior of the Gods Goku Black. So it's 2 drop 10k. Has a perp skill of, if Zamasu is in play in your battle area, this card can't be carried by your opponent's skills and does not leave the battle area due to skills. So this guy I mostly just play out and leave him be, because my opponent can still beat him up and he'll die, which is kind of true to the character himself. He's also just very good if we can next turn go into something big. We're just like, okay, we'll play the 2 now, bring this out, end turn, next turn we've got our Goku Black sacrifice. So very much like a necessary card for this deck. So going on to the 3 drop, we have 4 copies of everyone's favourite Terra Scythe Goku Black. Seen in many decks that aren't Goku Black or Zamasu, like Veggies. Curse name.
Because it's amazing Shigesh target.
Yep. So 3 drop 15k. Also, when you play this card, you play 2 Shadow Tokens. Shadow Tokens have 10,000 power, has a 0 combo that gives 5,000 combo power. And then the secret ability that no one ever plays besides the Zamasu / Goku Black player. Then you may choose one Zamasu from your deck and add to your hand. If you do so, choose a card from your hand, place it in a drop, then shuffle your deck. So you search out the Zamasu before you discard, which is really nice. I mean, you could discard what you just searched, but rather redundant, except for deck thinning.
Yeah, that's a second effect.
Yeah. There we go. Proof. It has a second effect. Oh my god. Like, I'm not making it up. I could, like, there we go. Evidence. It has a second effect, but everyone who plays them is a Veggies player, so they don't care about that. I actually confused someone doing that. I was like, okay, I'm going to search my deck now. Why? Terra Scythe's effect. Yeah, you get 2 tokens. And then I can search as a Zamasu. My opponent grabbed the card, read it, and they're like, I didn't know it did that. It's like, have you been playing against Veggies? Yeah. There we go. That's why he didn't know. Anyway, moving on to the 4 drop, we have 4 copies of Zamasu the Invincible. So
invincible.
He's got Indestructible. They could have called him Zamasu the Indestructible, actually.
Shut up.
Yeah. So 4 drop 15k. Like I said, he has Indestructible, but every Zamasu has Indestructible. Permanent. If your leader card is Zamasu or Goku Black, you can reduce the energy card of this card in your hand or battle area by 1. Battle area I have yet to see any reason for, but in hand it just becomes a 3 drop. So you just always swing this card because your opponent can't kill it, so it doesn't matter. It's just a bit of pressure. It's our go-to Zamasu as well if we want to play out something, because we can keep it alive and it can actually do some damage. So very handy. So going into the 7 drops now, we have 3 copies of Twisted Justice Fuse Zamasu. So it's a 7 drop, 25k. You can Unipower him for 5 energy. 1 has to be a green onto Goku Black and Zamasu, obviously. He has Double Strike, Indestructible as part of the Zamasu package. And he has the auto ability of, when you play this card, choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's battle area or up to 2 cards in your opponent's hand, your opponent places all the chosen cards into drop. So it's a way to kill board. If your opponent's board has barrier, it's a way to kill hand. You can just kill hand anyway. You can't choose both. You can't just be like one from hand, one from board. It has to be one or the other. So you time him well, and because he can come up for 5 energy, it's just a good way to force some aggro early to mid game, and gives us another Zamasu to go into. I mean, you could just place one on top of the other if you really want, because it counts as Zamasu, so you just have to fire out another Goku Black. So very useful. And finally, in the 7 drops, we have 2 copies of Zeno the Playing Guard. So Zeno is a 7 drop. You play 3 blue. He has 15k, 0 combo cost or power. So don't combo him unless you need to get rid of him from your hand for some reason. And he has the auto ability of, when you play this card, negate all other battle card skills and choose all cards of both players' hands as well as all other battle cards and return them to their decks. Shuffle both decks afterwards, then both players draw 5 cards. Now anything that's stacked under a card just goes into a drop. So he clears the board, and I needed that when we were going to the tournament because I knew it was going to be just veggies, yeah, veggies, apes, anything that spawns board. Matt Bergamo. Yeah, I'm calling you out on it, buddy. So it just clears our board. You only tend to play 1, and then the other one you can just chuck away. Having 2 means that we can see it, but we're not overfilling on it because we need our Goku Black Zamasus. And it's just a nice way to get out of a sticky situation. So going into the 8 drop, we have a singular copy of Unstoppable Despair Goku Black Rose. First and foremost, only running 1 because he's situational, and a lot of time I don't mind chucking away for energy. But if you can get him out at a good pace, it's very useful. So he evolves to 7 onto a Goku Black. 3 of the energy must be blue. He has triple strike, and since he's got 30k as well, it's just a lot of pressure coming at your opponent. And he has the also ability of, when a card evolves into this card, if your leader is Goku Black, which we are, choose up to 3 of your opponent's energy and place them in the drop. So you force the destruction of energy, so if your opponent's left any untapped, you just immediately target that down because they're going to need it, so get rid of it. And 30k triple strike and following up is quite painful, and like I said, it's very situational, so if you can get it out quickly like I managed to before, so getting it out on 4th turn, but that's because I saw objections and margin defiers. It just gives you pressure because your opponent's roughly on the same amount of energy as the turns at a passage. Cool, my opponent's on 4 to 3 to 5 energy. Cool, I'm just going to kill a bunch of their energy and then swing at them really bloody painfully. But only at 1 because it's very situational and we need Goku Blacks to go into him, but we'd rather use Goku Blacks for Zamasus because they're a lot more deadly. And speaking of which, the final cards in deck, we have 3 copies of our best friend, the 10 drop Infinite Force Fuse Zamasu. My god, he's glaring. So, like I said, 10 drop with 30k power. You can Union Tor him for 7 energy using Goku Black and Zamasu. 3 must be blue, as always. Indestructible is Zamasu. And he has the deadly auto ability of, when this card attacks, choose 1 card each from your opponent's battle area, battle cards only, energy, life and hand, and then place them to the bottom in any order. Usually the order that you pick them in, but whatevs. So this is like our big gun of the deck. He forces like your opponent's life, forces at everything. It's continuous ability as it's were, so you just do it every time you attack. It's not just on placement like the other ones. And yeah, because it's indestructible, your opponent can't really get rid of it. So once this hits the board, they've got to kill you before you just whistle them down. So yeah, definitely want to see him. Out of all that, we come to the end of this deck profile once again. So as always, thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.